Hey guys, this is Punchy, and today I'm going to be talking about probably one of my favorite builds so far and one of my furthest progressed builds, which is my Intelligence Charisma gun build. I just want to clarify before the video starts, this is not an endgame build, it's very much for the mid-level players around 40, around 50. It's nothing crazy with enchants or resonance, it's something that anyone can really pick up and make. As I started my progression, I chose to raise CELTOR for no real reason, but it does give you a little bit of a boost for your intelligence, so that is a plus for this build. If you do want to recreate this build, I would recommend going something that actually has a little bit of fortitude on the start, because I didn't really spec into fortitude. That was one of the weaker parts of this build that I realized. I chose to get depth connection as soon as I possibly could because reserve was going to be a big part of our build. Because I was using light weapons, of course, you know, I'm going to be farming XP on damn Primadon. Yes, that's the best way you want to be farming XP with your light weapon, just going to go in there and hit it a couple times. Hey, that is the best way to get XP. I'm not going to lie, but again, you probably want to do something a little bit easier like Bandit Island or anything like that. It's actually very important to switch off that dagger as soon as you can because you will notice that the longer you have the dagger, you'll be getting talents that are catered towards dagger moves. For example, one of them modifies the jump attack with a dagger. You don't want to have that if you're using guns. It's pretty much just a waste of that slot. So get the guns as soon as you have 65 light weapon. While I'm discussing the topic of weapon-based talents, you really want to make sure you're doing this when you're doing the gun build. So there is a polarizing option for this gun build. If you jump in the air and you do an attack, your gun will shoot you forward and your gun will be pointed at the ground. Okay, I do want to warn people that are going to be playing, you don't always want to pick this. It is very, very difficult to fight things in the air. People that you're playing against, if they're PvPing, people jumping in the air, it's going to be hard to hit. If you're fighting the gargoyles, it's going to be very hard to hit. If you're fighting anything in the air, like let's just say you're a lionfish in the depths, it's going to be hard to hit. But if you're just going for a PvP build, this is pretty decent. If I were able to remake this build, I would definitely not pick this move. I do not care if it's propelling me forward, I don't care if it's good for PvP. Fighting against things in PvE is not going to be great if I'm shooting at the ground. Some essential gun talents that you will need will be ether bullets, which allows you to shoot them infinitely, just takes ether. And there's going to be one more that's kind of good, which is the thinker. If you're low HP and you're low reservoir, it will regenerate very, very fast. Moving on to the intelligence and charisma based talent. So as of recording this video, my stats are 82 intelligence, 56 charisma, and 100 in light weapons. Despite this, I haven't really got anything crazy for my intelligence build, nothing like rare or legendary, just some basic talents that increase ether regeneration. I think those are worth picking up. The reason why I spec out intelligence is to increase my ether and reservoir, as well as doing some stuff for my potions. Your potion potency actually scales off your intelligence, so the higher intelligence you have, the better your potions will be. On the other hand, when doing charisma, you want to be picking everything that applies charm. Charm is a status that you always want to have applied to the enemy, where you do more damage to them and they do less damage to you. Certain buffs that you want to be getting are if you are very low, it applies charm, or if you hit someone with a mantra, it applies charm, and even if you are a common race, if you get hit by the same race, it applies charm to the enemy. And of course, the talent that actually allows you to do more damage to charmed enemies would be Tough Love, which is exactly what you want to be having. So if I'm looking at my stats, I'm knowing that I'm using the revolvers. I think the revolvers are very, very fast shooting besides the dragoons. Dragoons are kind of slower, but they do more damage. Right now it says that I do 32.5 damage per shot, and that is going to be increased if I'm using that charm. I'll also go into my equipment as well as my mantras, so you guys can replicate this if you would like to. Your mantras aren't really that important, but there are a couple ones that I got with wind that really help for this build. As mentioned earlier, applying that status by hitting somebody with a mantra is very, very important if you want to have that damage buff at all times. So if you end up going wind, you want to be using GALE LUNGE. GALE LUNGE has a very, very deceptive hitbox and is very, very laggy. So sometimes you'll hit people and it won't even be next to them. The move itself is very good for applying the status and it's quite hard to punish. The other wind move that I'm using is called Wind Blade. It's not very good because it's very easy to dodge and it costs a lot of ether. So I wouldn't recommend using this. I just have it just because that was my first option. Another mantra that I think is intelligence based, or it's not even an element. It's very, very good. It's called like Flurry Slashes or something. I'm not too sure of the name, but it is very, very good because it applies pressure. I renamed my skill to Flying Regin because it TPs me to the enemy as well as doing damage to them. If they block it, it's not really that punishable because I am up close to do another combo. I'm sure with a Wayward Gem or some type of gem, this would be very, very strong. Other than that, the rest of my skills are Sing, which just applies the status effect of charm to the enemy, as well as the Troll God, which is just a renaming of Taunt. Pretty much what Taunt does, it prevents the enemy from jumping, as well as applies the charm effect because we do have that passive that says if somebody gets hit by a mantra, they get the charm effect. So it prevents them from jumping, it buffs their damage towards you. So it is a dual-edged blade. You got to be careful for that. Very worthwhile skills from the charisma path. I would definitely recommend this if you are going to be going the intelligence charisma gun build. I have two other mantras that are useless for me. Well, I'm using the summon cauldron just because it's very situational. When I have my potions I want to make, I just pop it open. And then the other one is prediction. Don't really use that because it's a counter move and it's very, very weak. It doesn't always work, and if you try to modify it at the mantra station, it kind of just breaks. So don't do that. It'll cost a lot of ether if you mess it up. Lastly, I'll just go into my equipment. The main stat on all of my equipment would be reservoir. I am very, very reliant on having a large reserves, just so I can use my guns a lot, so I can spam my abilities. I don't want to run out when I'm in combat. My boots do have a special effect, which is the enchant on my character. Again, it's not necessary, but it is for a charisma build. It's called Allure, so every single attack has a chance to apply the charm effect. Just makes it a little bit better since I already have these charm stats. And that's all you really need to do if you want to remake my build. I'll show off some fights, what combos you can do. Of course, this build is far from perfect, but I wanted to show you guys what I've been working on, what I've been playing with, and of course, if you guys want to take inspiration of this, make your own build. It's very, very fun. I would recommend it to anybody. Of course, if you enjoy my videos, make sure to like and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next one. Thank you guys.